This is my FZ6, which I'm selling because my 2-year-old's done and I never use it anymore, unfortunately. Runs brilliantly. Spent many hours riding it, many hours messing around with it. So I'm just going to go through some of the features. Wing mirrors have lost a bit of the silver on the edges. They're very easy to replace. Take this off, 2 bolts, take it off, replace another one from Amazon, from Yamaha. Fuel injector set starts every time. You can see that it's done 32,000. So starting with the handlebars. These are not the stock handlebars, these are Rental bars. They're high bars, so it makes it much more comfortable to ride. They've also been filled with sand to reduce the vibrations because they're hollow, and I've tapped them so that you can use the stock Yamaha bar ends. These are really nice, big, heavy, strong bar ends. Pretty much, in fact, I think they are brand new. Pro Grip dual density gel grips. These are so comfortable, you wouldn't believe it. These are adjustable brake and clutch levers, so you can change this angle to choose how far they are. They're anodized. They were anodized black, but as you can see, it's gradually faded over time. I've got the original handles and levers if you want to put them back on. I have a 12-volt accessory port here if you want to charge a sat nav or whatever else while you're going. On this side, this switch controls power for my heated glove connection, which is currently under the seat. You could change that for an accessory port or anything else if you wanted, or even heated grips. You would just change the wire, so instead of it going under the tank down to here, it just goes down towards the bars. Personally, I think gloves work way better than grips. That's my preference. That's the stock Drivetrain cover. I've just painted it black. Looks a lot nicer. Bolts, loads of things have been painted black. Under here is a cheap Chinese alarm. Wouldn't help your insurance, but if someone gets on your bike, it's got a motion sensor. Once it's armed, that will set it off, and it is very loud. So if I was to get on the bike and rock it around, or you get a warning, and if you do it again, very loud alarm. It's connected to the indicators, so they flash, and there's a siren that's underneath here. It does have the stock horn, which you can just see down there, but I've also wired in a snail style horn here, so that goes at the same time, so it's far louder. This is a low tone one, so the stock horn's pretty loud. This makes it twice as loud, but also adds a nice deep tone to it as well, as you can hear. You can always unplug that if you don't like it, or remove it. This is where the original stock horn cable is, connected into my wiring harness, so you could just run that down to the horn instead of having it split 2 ways. I've had that for years, no problems at all with it. This is the stock Yamaha, well not stock, but it's Yamaha manufactured fairing that I actually had fitted on the bike from new by the manufacturer. These indicators, I have replaced the stock with these lovely flush mounts. Got these all round, and I have a spare one of these, and I also have the original indicators if you want to put them back on. I've got braided lines for the front and rear. These I think are Galfa because they were the only ones who make it for ABS. So this goes down to the ABS block, and then down to here and the other brake pistons. I've got a fender extender to protect the pipes a bit. I have crash bobbins front and rear to protect it if I have a low speed drop or anything like that. Take the forks. These are Michelin Pilot Road, I think 3 tyres. Oh, 4. These are amazing. Best tyres you can buy. Absolutely brilliant. Amazing grip and last for a really long time. As soon as I put them on, I could tell the difference. It's all I've used since I've changed the tyres in the first place. sliders, these lovely oval ones. These are R&G ones. As you can see, I did come off at about 10 miles an hour or something, and these took the brunt, and there was no other damage except to a little bit of a crack to the fairing, which I repaired and repainted. Well, this extra fairing, because it goes through there, you have to drill a hole, which is terrifying to get it to work. These are Oberon pedals. I've got the originals if you want to put them back on. It is really nice. Everything I've blacked out, painted that I can, make it look nice. These I've never used. I took them off about 2 months after getting the bike, but I put them back on for sale. The hugger I've cut down, reshaped, made it smaller, painted it gloss so it matches the bike better. Chain and sprockets are in really good condition. The shock, which is covered by a shock protector that you can barely see there, is a HyperPro lowering shock, and the fork springs are HyperPro lowering fork springs. So it's not a lowering shock, it's a lowering spring, just the spring has been changed. So I've got the original spring, I've got the original fork springs. Makes the bike much better to ride, handles much better. They're progressive springs, so they're really good at absorbing the bumps. Road Pilot again, I don't know if these are 3s or 4s. Brilliant tyres, indicators. Fortunately, when I put these on, these are slightly newer ones, when I put these on I did them too tight and it cracked the plastic on the pod, so I had to rebuild the inside of the pods and repaint them, which you can see is not amazing. You can always buy new pods if you want and drill 2 holes or 3 holes to put these on, but this has been repaired with fiberglass and it's stronger than it was before. These are my beautiful Scorpion Oval road legal E-marked pipes. You can take out the inner here, there's the E-mark by the way, you can take out the DB killer they're called here with 1 Allen bolt, and this hole slots out and they get even louder, painfully loud, too much for me. This is a LED tail light, so it uses LED, so it uses way less power than the original. It's also integrated, although if you want you can just not use it as integrated, just have it plain LED. And I've added an additional rear light here which works. You probably won't be very hard to see, but if I put down the brake, there you go, braking, and this adds even more light onto the number plate. That is the light from that. This is the light that came with the R&G tail tidy. So instead of the huge tail section that it had before, it's just got this little one. You can put the stock indicators on here if you want. Couple of reflectors, you have to have reflectors for MOT. There's the braided brake line again for the rear. These are all painted. These are brand new rubbers, literally never used. This is an extended clutch slave lever, so this is longer than the stock one. You can actually choose how much it's extended by using these holes, and this gives it much longer travel, makes it much more comfortable, much easier to use. I've got the original if you want to put it back on. This I had to order from America because they're very hard to get hold of. That's painted, and we've got some grippy dot sticker things here to protect it. Tank protector. This seat, I love this seat. This is leather, except for plastic bits here for where you sit that are grippier, with custom stitching. And I have reshaped this seat twice now. It has got more gel than foam in it. It is incredibly comfortable. It is lower than the stock seat. It's heavier than the stock seat because of all the gel. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best things I did, because I used to ride to work every day before my son was born, and I have to drop him off at nursery. So if we take the seat off, it's only the cover that has been changed. The seats, well, the cover and some of the foam inside. Stock toolkit's in there. This, as I was talking about before, I usually have this popping up here in winter, and I plug my heated gloves into it. But you could do whatever you want with that. It's just tucked under the seat for now, at the way. I have replaced the front sprocket, the smaller one, with one with an extra tooth on it, so you can't see it because I'm not going to bother taking this off. It's quite easy, it's just 3 or 4 bolts. You have to disconnect the gear linkage to get out of the way. And what this does, it means it's a much smoother start instead of it being very sort of aggressive in the acceleration. And because I used to ride on the motorway a lot, it's much smoother at the top end. So if you're riding 70, 80, there's less vibration, it's lower revs, it uses less petrol. It makes it actually more accurate, the speedo, because the stock speedo is about over 10% over what it actually is on the GPS. This now it's only about 1% higher than the GPS says you're going, which is pretty much perfect. You can put the stock back on. I've got the stock front sprocket if you want to change that back. I also have a spare one of these sprockets because I didn't want to risk not being able to find them. They are a good make, I can't what it is, but they're a decent manufacturer, sprocket manufacturer. I have braided Galfa lines. This goes all the way down to the ABS controller and it comes back again with metal tubes, so you only need it here. All the rest of it is metal pipes. Again, Galfa braided lines here, going down to the ABS controller underneath the tank, which then comes out again with braided and connects to the brakes. It splits on this one. I've got the stock line, or some bits of the stock lines. I don't think I've got them all, but I don't know why you would put them back on. As I said, I haven't used these pretty much since I bought the bike, because I normally have a seat cowl, so that is available separately. This is the stock screen. I painted the inside of it gloss black, so the inside is painted because it won't get any damage from the outside, although there are marks from various bits and pieces. It's cut down as well to make it as aggressive looking as possible. I have loads of different screens that I've been experimented with and different riding conditions, all the way up to a massive 24-inch screen which goes up to about here, flip screen, double bubble. They're all available separately. The headlight has very nice Philips extreme power bulbs, so they are much more powerful than the stock ones. I didn't want to go the HID route because there's doubt over whether it will pass the MOT. There's no problem here. These are Philips Blue Vision bulbs. You'll see when I start the engine, this and this bulb both come on. By default, usually only this one does, but I've put a cable in, designed by a guy called BD43 here, which allows you to have the low beam of the bulb come on when it should do, of the H7 bulb that it comes with stock, because it doesn't normally use that, and then when the high beam is on, that goes off, which, because Yamaha have actually programmed and planned this in, they just didn't implement it. You have to remove it for MOT because the reflector design means that it shines a bit too high, so it might annoy some drivers, but I've never had anyone flash me. I'll probably have it too low. Additionally, if you're MOTing, the integrated indicator would make it fail, so you have to unplug that. That's 2 cables. So you've got maybe 5 minutes before and after the MOT where you have to remove those things if you want it to pass. Very, very easy. I replaced the radiator cover because I wasn't happy with the fact that massive rocks could hit my radiator with this one. I've got the original one. This is metal and I've painted it black. As you can see, some of the paint's come off a bit, but you could fix that if you want. I didn't care. The original radiator cover is absolutely rubbish. That's made by Beowulf.